I'm Carol of Carol's Kitchen. Tonight we're going to be making two hors d'oeuvres. One of them is called mini mushroom quiches and the other one is called herbed broccoli canapes. They're both very easy to make, and actually the first one is the simpler one, and we're going to be utilizing egg beaters tonight in both recipes. Egg beaters are low cholesterol, low fat egg substitutes, which can be utilized for all kinds of recipes that include eggs. We also have a booklet here that I got my recipes from, and I'm really hoping that if you're interested in these recipes, if you write to Carol's Kitchen, we can send for some of these recipe booklets and get them off to you, which not only include the two that I'm doing tonight, but lots of other nice recipes as well. So let's get started with the mini mushroom quiches right now. What we're going to do is we're going to first cut up some scallions. The recipe calls for a tablespoon of scallions, but I'm going to be using 2 whole scallions, so that'll be a little bit more, but that's okay. The first thing you want to do is you want to cut off the ends of the scallions like that, because we don't want to use that part. Now you just chop away, and we can utilize the whole thing. And the top part that's a little bit wilted, we'll discard that, but we'll utilize all the rest, and we'll chop this up. And we really want to get little tiny pieces. So we'll chop this, and I just wanted to show you basically how to do this as it falls off. Okay. Now, obviously you want a nice sharp knife, and I'm wondering if this one is sharp enough. I guess it is. And of course I have a nice wooden chopping block to work on. And you just keep bringing it together and mince your scallions. And scallions are a member of the onion family, and they're very aromatic, and they're nice in recipes. And of course, scallions are very low in calories. Okay. There. And the scallions are well minced, a little bit more. Okay. There's our scallions. They do have quite a strong aroma to them. To the scallions now we're going to be adding a couple of spices. Dried mustard and dill weed. I have tonight dried dill weed, but if you can get fresh dill weed it'll be even nicer. And of course our egg beaters. Now the egg beaters here come in 8-ounce portions, and we're going to be using half of this for this recipe and half for the other recipe. Just shake it really well before you open it. And you can defrost them in the refrigerator for a couple of hours, and they'll be unfrozen. Okay, so now we add about half of the package. I would say that's half, maybe a tad more. Okay. Now to that, this is a very, very simple, fast recipe. We add our scallions, like so. Okay. Now we want to add a teaspoon of dill. We'll take our teaspoon, and always make sure that the container is open. Dill has a very nice sort of sweet flavor, and as you can see, it's If you go over on herbs, it doesn't matter. So we'll go over a little bit on that. Then we have a half a teaspoon of dried mustard. There you go, half a teaspoon of dried mustard. I'm using, it calls for a dash of pepper, and I'm using basically a coarser ground pepper because I like the flavor of pepper and things. Now you notice we're not using any salt tonight, so this would be good for people who are on a low salt diet as well, because we're utilizing all herbs instead of any source of sodium. So we'll just shake a little bit of the coarse ground pepper in there, and of course it depends on your taste and what you like, and we'll see if that'll be enough. And we're just going to slush this all around, and all it is egg beaters, scallions, dill, and some pepper. I think I'll add a dash more pepper because I do like pepper. Okay, now we have our mushrooms. We're using mushroom caps fresh, of course, and I have removed the stems. Now normally you would just sort of discard the stems and not use them, but what I'm going to do is I chop them up and I'm going to use them in the next recipe. Even though it doesn't call for mushrooms, I figured why waste them, so we'll use them in the next recipe as well. So this is simple. Just put the mushrooms here and just take a little spoon, and all we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of the mixture in each mushroom, like so, and just fill it up, and we're going to bake it at 375 degrees for 10 to 15 minutes. Now I'd be careful at 375, sometimes that's too hot. So I'm going to start at 350 and let it go a little bit longer because you don't want the mushrooms to burn. And just dab that in like so. And these should, since it's an egg substitute, it should puff up like an egg and really be a nice low-calorie hors d'oeuvre. And I prepared the mushrooms and washed them in the morning so that I wouldn't have to be bothered doing that tonight. So a lot of these things you can prepare ahead of time and get started on them for your parties. There we go. Now, if people don't like the taste of onion or scallion, they're not going to like these things. But most adults do like this kind of flavor. So here's our mushrooms. And they're all nicely done. And look at the colors. The green with the sort of blandish color of the mushroom. And we'll bake this and we'll show it to you when it comes out of the oven in about 20 minutes. Now we'll go and we'll do our herb canapes made with broccoli. Now we're going to do recipe number 2 in our series. This is show number 6, and this is the herb broccoli canapes, which are very nice hors d'oeuvre. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take 1 tablespoon of margarine, and we're going to put that in the pan which has been heated. And we're going to utilize some vegetables. We're going to saute onions, and we're going to saute some broccoli. And as I mentioned before, these are the tops of the mushrooms. And I've chopped those up and I've decided that that's going to go into the recipe as well. So I've just added a little thing, and of course when you're cooking you can improvise. It's a creative activity. So let's add the onions, and I just raised the heat up a little bit, and we're going to saute all of this. We're going to add the mushrooms next, and of course the butter is stuck on there, but that will melt in. There we go. There's the mushroom tops. And for color, as well as good nutrition, and most people do like broccoli today, this is one package of frozen cooked broccoli. So actually the broccoli has already been cooked, and we're just going to add it to the mushrooms and the onions. Now we're going to saute this, a few minutes. I would say no more than 5 minutes to saute. Let's just lower the heat a little bit and just keep turning it over. Now this is a Teflon coated pan, and as you can see, 1 tablespoon of margarine is not going to be that much. So what do? You don't want to keep adding oils and fats and more butter, because you're taking away from the low-calorie effect that we want. So what I'm going to do at this point is just add a little bit of water, which, with a little bit of water, will just give it a steamed effect. Things will not burn or scorch. And always remember, if you're bringing up a recipe and you're running low on the oils and things are starting to stick, don't always add more oil, add some water. So now we can raise the heat a little bit, and we will be fine. Okay, so we're just going to keep turning this over, and like I said, no more than 3 to 5 minutes tops, because the mushrooms don't take long, and neither do the onions, and the broccoli's already been cooked. All right, our broccoli, onions, and mushrooms have been stir-fried and steamed down. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make the dough, because what this is going to be is a canapé, and it's 1 layer of dough, 1 layer of the mushroom and the broccoli and the onion, the vegetable mixture, covered with a layer of dough. Now I've already rolled out one of the doughs, and I'm going to roll out the other half to show you how to do it. The dough has been made with 2 cups of flour and a little bit of cayenne red pepper and 1/2 cup of either Fleischmann's or Promise margarine. And what you do is you cut it in with a knife and a fork, or a pastry cutter if you have one, and then you add a little bit of ice cold water and you form it into a ball, and then I've divided it into 2 sections. Now this is half of the mixture right here, and we're going to roll that out right now to show you how to do that. And here's the other one that I've already rolled out and placed it into a nice baking dish. And you can see there's a little bit of red spots, and that is the red pepper in there. So this is going to be a really spicy, tasty dish. So here's half of the dough. Half has already been done. Now, I ran out of flour, to be honest with you, so I'm using a little bit of this Wonder flour, which is a great gravy and sauce type flour. Now you always want to flour your board, and you want to flour your rolling pin. Now many people probably are not familiar with this. This is a very old rolling pin that belonged to my mother, and I've kept it all these years, and you can see it's been used a lot. It's an old wooden rolling pin. So what you want to do is you just want to kind of coat this. This has been in the refrigerator. We'll just coat this with some flour, and we'll try to coat the rolling pin as well, and we're just going to roll this out. Now, of course, it's been in the refrigerator, so it may be a little bit cold and a little bit stiff, but we'll work it out. You just want to roll in opposite directions, And do this, and then we're going to turn it, and then we're going to just keep working at it. It's not so hard to do. I thought I was afraid to do something like this, but it's not very difficult at all. And just when it starts to stick a little bit, just add a little bit more flour. There you go. Okay. And we want to try to get it into a rectangular shape, but you don't have to, because that's the shape of the pan is sort of a rectangle. Okay. Now we want it to flatten out, and you want it to have the same thickness all the way around, probably 1/4 of an inch. There we go. There, that's fine. That came out really nice. Okay, so let's see if it approximates the size of the dish. Not bad, so I think we'll stay with that. Now the next step, what we're going to do is we're going to take the vegetables that we've sauteed, and we're going to put them in a large bowl, like this. And just scrape them down in. There you go. Now we're going to take our egg beaters, and we have the other half of the egg beaters, and we're going to put those in there, but we're going to save a little bit, a tablespoon, because we're going to use a pastry brush, and we're going to brush the top dough. So we'll just save a little bit for brushing on the top. And also to this, we're going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of basil, and again, some nice coarse ground pepper to taste. Since this is pretty spicy already, I'm not going to go too heavy on the pepper right now. So I think that'll be more than enough. Now we just mix this all up. And the egg beaters are the protein, like any other egg would be, and that's what holds the whole thing together. And we just mix it all up. And then we're just going to place it right in the middle. And we already have our bottom layer of dough on there. Okay. And now we're just going to spread the mixture out evenly. Like that. Okay, and now we're going to add the top layer of the dough. Now, this could be tricky. Don't just lift it up. It'll fall apart. What I've discovered is that you roll it off the board, and then you roll it, roll it back down. There. Now, you might just want to crimp the edges a little bit, but you don't have to. And that's all down nicely like that. Then we're going to take the little bit of egg beater that we have left with a pastry brush, and we're just going to brush the top so that it will brown nicely. Now this will make 24 nice size portions. So another thing that you want to do after you brush it all off with the egg beaters, there we go, is you want to take a little knife and just score it into 24 portions. So we're just going to score it like so that when it cooks up, it will puff and have little marks. There we go. Now I think this is something quite different and nice for dinner parties. And both of these recipes, especially the little mushroom recipes, are very simple and easy to do. Okay, it's all ready to go into the oven. We're going to bake it at 350 degrees for 1 hour. But I would certainly check it after about 40 to 45 minutes. It may be that that's all it needs. So I'll tell you when it comes out whether it was 40 minutes, 45 minutes, or an hour. So we're going to bake this, and then we're going to show you both on a plate afterwards. Okay. Well, our herbed canapes have come out of the oven. They took about 50 minutes at 350 degrees. We're going to show them to you. I'm going to cut a slice and see how it looks. Also, on the mini mushroom quiches, we have tasted it and we've decided that also what you should add is some garlic, either chopped garlic or garlic powder, probably no more than a tablespoon of chopped garlic, and also maybe a tablespoon of Parmesan cheese, because it came out a little flat, to be honest with you, and it needed a little bit more zest to it. So I think those two things will help, adding the garlic and the Parmesan cheese. So let's go back to our broccoli canapé. We're going to cut a slice. As you can see, it's been scored. So we will cut through. It just came out of the oven and it's piping hot. And we're going to just cut one little piece out of here and show you how it looks. Hopefully we'll get it out nicely. Of course, it would be nice to start on the edges, wouldn't it? Okay. It's boiling hot, so perhaps we should let it cool down a little bit. But you want to cut these into small pieces because this is considered hors d'oeuvre size. So these are our 2 hors d'oeuvres for tonight, and I hope you try these recipes and enjoy them. Thank you, and come again to Carol's Kitchen. All right, we're back to Carol's Kitchen. We're going to make the 3rd of our final diet chocolate desserts today. And the last one is cocoa chiffon parfait. It's just really a nice light chocolate parfait. The first thing you have to do is get the plain Knox gelatin, and I have in the bowl a 1/4 cup of ice cold water. So all you do is you put the Knox gelatin in here and you let it dissolve. And the reason we're using this is because it's plain, unflavored, and this is really what holds the whole thing together. All right, we're going to stir the Knox gelatin with the cold water, let it absorb the water, and while we're waiting for that to absorb, we're going to heat up 1½ cups of cold skim milk with 3 tablespoons of cocoa. So let's go over here and try that. This is a very, very simple recipe. Okay, we have skim milk, 1½ cups. And we're going to heat this to the scalding stage. Okay? Okay, now we have our cocoa, plain unprocessed cocoa, 3 tablespoons. Okay, and we're just going to warm this up. This is almost as if you were making cocoa for yourself the old-fashioned way when we used to make it with plain cocoa, milk, and sugar. So we'll heat this up to the scalding stage. This will take about a minute. You can't leave this though, you have to stay and kind of watch it, because you don't want the milk to really boil. And then we're going to go back and we're going to add this to the gelatin mixture with some vanilla and a little bit of sugar. We're going to chill it, and then we're going to mix it with a cup of non-dairy whipped topping, low-calorie whipped topping, and make little parfaits. It's a very easy dessert. All right, we're back, and now we're going to add the cocoa and the milk to the gelatin. And I just want to show you in that short time how the gelatin absorbed all the liquid. And that's going to act as our thickening agent. Now we just mix this in here. And to this, we're going to add 3 tablespoons of sugar and a teaspoon of vanilla. Here's one. Of course, the sugar is going to melt because this is warm. And 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Now this particular dessert makes 8 servings, and it's only 78 calories a serving. That's like it's just really a dieter's type of pudding. Okay, then we mix this all together, stir it up. We're going to chill it. Then we're going to add our non-dairy topping to it and make little parfaits. And it's very simple, something that you could have all the time. It's easy to make. It's thickening already from the gelatin, I can see that. We're back. We're finished with our cocoa chiffon dessert. All we have to do now is mix the chocolate mixture with the non-fat dairy whipped cream. Here it is. It is partially thickened. And this is at the point now where we can add the whipped cream. So it's very simple. Take half of the whipped topping, scoop it in, and mix it up, fold it over, like so. And it's just going to be a very light, fluffy pudding. It looks sinful to eat some of these things that we've made today, but this particular dessert is only 78 calories, excuse me, 78 calories a serving. Starting to lose my voice here. Okay, here it is, it's all swirled. And it comes out really kind of like a mocha flavoring, mocha look. So there it is. Now we're just going to scoop some of that into little individual cups, add a little whipped topping, and voila, our dessert. All right. Thank you, and come again to Carol's Kitchen. And I hope you enjoy some of these recipes that we've made today, especially for the dieters. Enjoy. Good night.